All right, hi guys, welcome back to the Friend Family Homestead. My name is Sabrina for all of those new subscribers out there that will be seeing this video. Today we're going to be seed starting, and again I tried to start this video off out in the garden because it is a warmer day and it's very sunny, and with that being said, it was way too bright and it was way too windy. Like the wind is just like howling. So once I replayed that clip, it just was not going to be great. But before we get started with the seed starting portion of this video, I wanted to come and show you guys what we have here. These little grow shelves that we have. We got these last year from Lowe's, but you can find them at any of your local hardware stores, and maybe even like a Dollar General or somewhere that's like a little bit less of like, you know, pricey. But the one thing that I wanted to talk about for sure, and so that you guys will understand, is grow lights. We have grow lights here, and these are grow lights from Lowe's, and these are the LED grow lights. Let me see, this is approximately 350 watts. So with that, the reason why a lot of people try to start seeds just in a window with natural light, and that's fine. You can start seeds that way. It will take longer for them to germinate and for them to grow. So really, the ideal is to have grow lights because they need a certain amount of light consistently. And even if you have like the perfect south facing window, it's still just not enough sunlight for them to like really take off. They will struggle. So I suggest everyone get grow lights. I'm not gonna like share the specific brand that we got because I mean all grow lights are different and you might be on a different budget than us. We did not get the most expensive grow lights that were out. We just got regular LED grow lights and they have worked perfect for us. But I wanted to, you know, stress really, if you're starting seeds indoors, grow lights are absolutely needed. Okay, the shelves, those are not absolutely needed because like I said before we started seeds, literally the lights were hanging from the bottom of a table. So this is just an example, and then I also have this example here. You guys saw the back, but we have a lot going on. And again, we do that. And I tell people all the time, you don't have to have the perfect setup at all. We don't have the perfect setup right now, but we have, you know, some extra space that we can use that's inside of our house, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use this space and kind of make it flexible by moving some furniture in and out. But that's just what we're gonna do. So we ask that you go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please like or push the like button if you like content like this. This gives us a better idea of what you guys like for us to share. And again, we're gonna jump right into seed starting. Now, I'm not gonna start all of my seeds on here with you guys right now. Maybe I'll jump on some live on Facebook occasionally when I do have like a lot of seeds to sow, and we could do like some question and answers. But for now, I'm just gonna get started talking about some of the items, things that you can use while seed starting. One of the things that I did want to start off with is why seed starting is so important. Because a lot of people might be like, oh, well, I can just go buy all of the starter plants, and that is an option. You might not be able to find everything that you are looking to grow, so that's one reason why you should seed start. Also, if you have something, if you have a shorter growing season, such as we do here in zone 5B, some things take a very long time to grow. So if you don't start it by seed, and you just expect to direct sow it or go out and try to find that plant starter, you might get there too late in the season and they're all gone. Or again, like if you're planning on direct sowing, get things that take like 180 days to grow. Unfortunately, if I was just to go and direct sow that out in the garden, we might not get to harvest that before the frost gets in. So those are a few reasons why seed starting is so important. And also, I just challenge everyone to try to start something by seed, because honestly, if it ever comes a point in which we can't go out and buy starts from our local, you know, a big box stores or even local nurseries, it's just a really important tool to know how to do and use to seed start. So I am going to be starting off with some seed starting mix, and the one that we love to get is this Jiffy seed starting mix. It is OMRI certified, so remember I was telling you guys, make sure it says OMRI certified. This is organic seed starting mix, so it has everything you need in there to get started, and it makes it very easy. And I have some right here in my little bucket, and it is already pre-moistened. But before we get started, actually, I want to tell you guys, I went to Dollar General recently, or not even Dollar General, I went to Dollar Tree. I went to Dollar Tree recently, and I know the prices went up like a quarter, so now it's, instead of $1, everything's $1.25. But I was able to get these seed starting little pots, and they break down, they're biodegradable, so that's a great option. I also got these little greenhouse starters for things, and I'll kind of explain to you what I'm going to be using these for. And then also they have these cute little pots right here that are really good for seed starting, and a lot of this is 4 in a pack for $1.25. These were 12 seed starter pots. And again, they were $1.25 at Dollar Tree. And then I also have just some recycled pot things that I saved from last year that you guys will see me use. And yeah, we have other little like roll trays. I don't have any right here right now for this video, but that is for more of the things like tomatoes and peppers that I'll be starting in individual little nodules, and then they'll be potted up from there. But today I'm going to be using, oh, and then another thing, because I always try to tell people, like, you do not have to go out and buy this stuff, but a good neighbor of ours, let me get it, hold on, where is it? Okay, here we go. So once we were talking to our neighbors, oh, it has to readjust. Okay, sorry about that. It's super bright in here today. But I was talking to my neighbors one time about recycling, and they were telling me that they had a ton of milk jugs that they go and recycle, and they asked me, like, would I be able to use them in any way? And I told them absolutely. So they bring me over their milk jugs, and you can literally cut this in half, put some soil, well, make sure you have put holes on the bottom, cut it in half, put soil in this, and you can use the lid as like the little dome, like this one. They came with a little dome, but you can use the milk jug to grow in as well, and that is really great. What do they say? Reuse, reduce, recycle. There you have it, milk jugs. And you can save the ones you have, ask your neighbors for milk jugs, all of that. But today in this, we're going to be starting some of our herbs. I do plan on doing a cottage garden with all of our annuals that will grow in there, because if you don't know, a lot of like your herbs, some of like the eggplants, they will come back every year. And so I'm sorry, I said annuals, I meant perennials, the ones that come back every year. So I have a ton of our herbs here that we're going to be starting today, and I have onions because again, we live in zone 5B. And if I was to go out there and direct sow onions, we unfortunately would not harvest, large, decent sized onions. We would probably get little baby onions because it takes them forever. So we're just gonna get started by filling this up. And again, this soil, this seed starting mix is already pre-moistened, and I'm just gonna fill it all the way up to the top. Shake it out a little bit. I like to give everything a good little tap so everything settles in place, so you don't have any air pockets for the seeds to fall down in. And what I'm gonna do for my onions is I'm literally going to just toss the seeds in here. And once they sprout and get to be, I wanna say maybe about 3 or 4 inches. So that should be in the next 10 weeks. They will be ready to just come out of here. I'll split them apart and direct sow them in lines right in our garden beds. But this is a great way to grow onions instead of trying to put each onion in its own like seed cell, like when you see the big seed trays. Let me use my handy dandy scissors here. And while I'm doing this, I will say, you guys see my setup here. It is not like the ideal setup, and nobody starting off is gonna have the ideal setup. You make do with what you have, right? So I moved everything out of this room a bit. We have some of these shelves, the lights and the shelves set up in here. And you guys will see even just on some of our other videos later on in a few weeks when the seeds and everything start to grow up, what that'll look like in here. But again, I encourage everybody, no matter what space you have, try to make that space work for you in the time in which you need that space. Seed starting is only like a couple months long. If you're only doing 6 to 8 weeks, it's only a couple months long. I'm sure you can get by with some of the space not utilized the way it's intended to in your house. But okay, so I have these seeds here in my hand, and these are yellow onion. This is the sweet onions. I love onions. Everybody that knows me know, give me a good onion in my meal and I am fine. Okay, so I've already labeled this. It's going in there, and again, I'm literally just going to drop these, sprinkle them in there. As you see, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You're just literally sprinkling them on there, trying to get them separated. And I'm going to do 2 of these for the yellow onions because I don't want them to be too overcrowded. So then when they do come up, they will be easier to pull apart and transplant the little onions. Okay, so that looks, we'll put a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm gonna put these back in here for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this, and I'm not even going to use that cup. I'm going to use my hand, and I'm going to literally just kind of shake this soil out on there. Again with my hand. Get your hands dirty. Get your hands dirty. Get your feet dirty. Get everything dirty. That's what gardening's all about. Okay, then I'm just gonna tamp that down a little bit over the seeds so that you can make sure that the seeds and the soil are in contact with each other. And then I'm going to move on to the next one, right? Gonna leave that like that. I'll water these down, don't worry about that. I will water them down. And I might have to take my thing out and just set it on top for now. Put the lid on there and set it over to the side. And then I'm gonna do another one. And since I'm not gonna plant all of this on camera with you, I'll just go ahead and do the red onions. One thing that I did notice from these seed trays from Dollar Tree is that they did not come like with holes at the bottom, so you do have to punch holes in there, but that is okay. It's simple. You just put your scissors down in there and you punch a hole. And that is for drainage, so that your plants don't get too wet, and then, you know, the soil might mold, things like that. If it's too moist, you might start to see a lot more of like the little gnats flying around. So just make sure that it has drainage holes at the bottom. But another way that you can make sure that it doesn't get too or stay too moist and the gnats don't come is always get a fan. You know, if you have moving air, that works better. So always get a fan, put the fan up in that area, and that keeps all that down. And if you have drainage holes at the bottom. So all of that together is what you need to have a successful seed starting season. Okay, I'm gonna tap it down. Okay, and again, I have my marker already marked, and this is some red Creole onions. So we're gonna be doing some sweet yellow onions and some red Creole onions, and both of these onions are great for storage, so they dry out pretty good, and you can store them somewhere dark, cool, dry. Once they are once you harvest them and you dry them out. And again, I am just simply spreading the seeds all over. And you guys will see once these grow up and once I get ready to transplant them, you'll see that also. Last year, I did not start onions from seed. I actually tried to do like starter bulbs, which you can, I don't think I have any here for an example, but they're already like little bulbs of onions that were from last season that they allowed to go dormant, and then you just regrow them. However, with that, I did do some research, and they were saying that they just don't yield large enough onions at the end. Like, so when I went to go harvest them, they were probably like, you know, a little bit smaller than a cutie. So they were pretty tiny. They were pretty tiny onions. So this year, I'm hoping that by starting by seed, we'll get some bigger onions that we'll be able to, you know, actually save and store and dry them out. So again, I'm just putting a little bit of soil on top. I'm gonna pat that down. I'm not patting too hard, just kind of patting it down so that the onion seeds and the soil again come in contact with each other. And then I'm going to lay my sticker on top of that, and I will water these before they go underneath the light. I'm gonna stack those over there, and we're gonna get started on with, let's see, I have a lot of little stuff to grow. So we have cilantro, peppermint, sage to start, and again, all of this stuff is going in our like kitchen cottage garden, if you will, and that is because most of your herbs will come back the following year. If you cut them back and protect them from frost, they should grow back for you for the following year. So what I'm hoping is that that is exactly what happens, and in the next couple years, I won't have to actually start herbs. We'll just have them out there, and then they'll naturally replant themselves as volunteer plants. You know, the seeds will fall off and shake in the wind and all of that good stuff, and that's what I'm hoping happens here. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and lay out all of these, and we're gonna start, let's see, maybe like 2-3 plants of each, and then we'll see how that works out. Because like I said, and then really your herbs, like they just fill out, like mint. Mint is invasive, so mint, this even in the cottage garden, it will go in a like a larger pot, and that's just so that over time it just doesn't take up like a whole section of the garden, because like I said, mint is invasive and it will just keep growing and spreading. And I think that's the same with dill as well. So you have to be careful with those, and you know where you plant them and everything like that out in the garden and how you plant them. Let's see. I will say that seed starting is like one of my favorite things to do. And let me tell you guys, the first year that we ever seed started was in Georgia, and I had no clue what I was doing. None. I mean, I did some research, but still, I had no clue. And a lot of people, you know, just assume like, oh, well, I'll start gardening, you know, in a year or two from now. But really, you should start gardening as quickly as you can, because it takes it's a learning curve. It's not just buying a seed and putting it in the ground and watering it and watching it grow. It really takes a lot of knowledge and effort and skill to be able to grow something. So, but like I was saying, we started our seeds in Georgia, and I just had, you know, some trays with some cells in there, and it had the bottom trays, and this folding table that you guys see me working on now is the table that I had our seeds growing under. Like, they were just sitting on the floor, and I had some grow lights, not these, they were like the round bulb grow lights, and I hung them from the bottom of this table. And every day we were looking at them, we were, you know, trying to see if they were coming out. And for some reason, I just got so impatient. And that's one thing that you will need with gardening. You will need a lot of patience. But I started to get so impatient, and we were in Georgia, and I'm like, oh, well, it's sunny, it's beautiful. Let me just take these seeds and put them on our porch, give them more light and more heat. And then I would literally like take these tiny little starts in and out every day. And I probably did, not that I probably did, I did cause them a lot more stress than needed. So once you get started, you know, leave your seeds alone, leave them under the light, and let them just do their thing. Be patient. I was thinking the other day when I was in the kitchen, I'm like, okay, should I start seeds in the morning or should I start them at night? It's just never a good time to start seeds. And it was so funny that I was thinking that to myself, because if I started them in the morning and put them under the lights, I would literally be looking at them every hour the first day to see if something has sprouted. And if I started seeds at night, I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night, because I would be thinking like, ooh, I wonder what the seeds are doing. And they're not going to be doing anything for a few days. So, yeah. Don't be like me. Just start the seeds and keep it pushing. All right. So, the next thing we're going to start is our cilantro. And I said cilantro, but it's cilantro. I'm going to make a little, and no, I'm not going to put it on there because that's going to get wet, and then, yeah. So what I'm going to do is put this on a tag, cilantro, and I'm going to put about 3 seeds in each of these, because I can always split them when they're still young, and then I can move them over. I'm going to get these in here. I don't think I have a pencil, so I'm going to use the tips of my scissors, and I'm just going to make like a little hole in there. 3 little holes in each. And cilantro seeds are pretty easy to work with. They're a decent sized seed. Then I'm gonna push them down in there just a little bit, not too deep. But just make sure again that the seed comes in contact with the soil. And then I'm gonna cover those. And we have literally just started cilantro seeds. I'm gonna put them on my tray over here, and then these will get watered, and then we're on to the next. Okay. Next, we will plant some basil. And this, I think I have, okay, no, I just have sweet basil here, so we will plant sweet basil. Let me get my tags. Sometimes I get nervous with you guys here on camera, but I don't know why, because I'm looking around and I have spectators in the back here. The girls are always watching. Alright, I'm going to make 3 little holes in there, and then I'm going to get our basil going. Alright, sorry about that. I had to switch batteries. But again, I'm going to just take the tips of my scissors, and I'm just going to put a little bitty indent there. And now I'm going to drop my basil seeds in. And literally, seed starting takes little to no time at all. Really, just, you know, get the soil, get the seeds, drop them in, water them, and then you're on with your day. So sweet. You wait for hours if you have to. Okay. And then
I'm supposed to do something, but I didn't know what. Mom?
Alright, so I'm going to cover those. Again, just cover them slightly and pat them down.
How many people's got a little one? Somewhere it's
My little one in the back. Alright, then we're going to sit these on the tray. Like so. Okay, so next, let's see what we're going to do. Let's do a little bit of garden sage. Believe it or not, I still have garden sage out there right now. And I'm only going to do, I could have only did one thing of the basil and then switch that out, but I'm only going to do one garden sage. And that is because no matter, even if one seed comes up, the sage is going to do its thing, okay? For some reason, sage is just very prolific, and it yields a lot. So you really don't need, you know, too many starts. Even if one seed germinates in here, that'll be plenty for this year, at least in our garden, in our cottage garden. Whoa there. And that's okay. That's what you. That's why it's best when you pour it in your hand to make sure your hand is as tight as possible, so you don't waste any, or you know, lose any seeds just everywhere. And then if you have too many, you just put it back in the seed pack. Okay, so while we're waiting and watching this, I will say we are in zone 5B here in Central East Indiana. And our last frost day, which you'll hear me talk about a lot. So the easiest way for you to find your last frost day is just to do a Google search. And I would say even if your Google search says that you have the same frost day as someone that you know, Always look at that and look at your specific area, because we could both be in 5B, but say I'm in Indiana and you are in Colorado. So your last frost date could even be different from mine. So I suggest everyone, research your own last frost date and kind of go from there. But it's very important because on the back of it's very important to know your zone and your last frost date, because on the back of your seed packs, and if you've ever seen a seed pack, it'll show you like your regions, when to start your seed, if you can direct sow it, if it needs to be started indoors. It'll also tell you how deep you need to plant it when you plant it outside, approximately how much water it needs, if it's like a heavy water or a moderate waterer. And then it tells you like spacing and days to harvest. So it's important for you to know what zone you're in so that you can correctly read the back of your seeds. And then let's see, what are we doing here? We've already done basil, sage, let's see, and cilantro. Sorry, it's like things get a little bit wonky when I'm doing this on video as well. And we already did some of the onions. I'll put them over here. So next we're going to start some dill. Let's try some dill. Fresh herbs from your garden are like so good. Like if you pick them fresh and you cook with them like that, or even if you once you pick them, dry them out, and you like grind them, they're just amazing. So we're gonna do dill. And this year we are hoping to do a lot more like food storage and saving and canning. So hopefully we can get into some pickling, and that's where this dill will come into place. Thanks, baby. All right, so here's the dill. And last year we grew dill as well. I grew dill alongside the corn in hopes of keeping like the corn worms away, because dill is a great companion plant for corn. And it smells so good in the garden. Oh my goodness, like dill is very fragranted. Like when you're just out there and the wind blows, or if you walk past the dill, it's like, oh my, we need some dill in our lives. So, all right, we got the dill planted up. And again, I have so many other things to plant here. However, I just really wanted to get on here and kind of show you guys how simple seed starts can be. So what I'm going to do is going to go over some of the things again that we used last year that you can use. But again, starting with the Jiffy Seed Starting Mix. This is a great base to start with. I wouldn't get any of like the Miracle. Well, I will take that. I will rephrase that. I wouldn't get any seed starting mix that is not organic. And that is just because, again, even if you don't have an organic seed, the way in which we grow is really important, and it is what helps us to grow healthy, organic produce. So start with organic seed starting mix, and then you can use anything that you have at home that you can recycle. Like I said, we have these milk jugs. You can also start with egg trays, which is really great because if you have plastic egg trays, or even if you have cardboard egg trays, they're just perfect to start little seedlings in. They absorb the water, and then you can always upplant from that. The other thing that we used last year to start seeds in was water bottles. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, you have that many water bottles to be able to use. However, for us at our home, one of our dogs that we adopted, he cannot drink like tap water or even water from our refrigerator. So we do always have water bottles in our home for him and even for guests who come and prefer water bottles. But we reuse those water bottles as much as we can in so many different ways. And we also are very big on recycling, which is even more of a challenge now that we live out in the country because there's no recycling companies that come out here. So we load up all of our recycling and we make sure that we take it in to be recycled. The other thing, in your local small stores, like I said, these are from Dollar Tree and they're 12 in a pack for $1.25. These little things are from Dollar Tree, again 4 in a pack, and these are from Dollar Tree, which are 4 in a pack. So in other videos that are to come, you guys will see me using more of like the growers seed sale tray, and again, you don't have to go out and purchase those. Like I said, try to use whatever you have around your house. You could even save all of these little things from the little starts that you guys buy this year from all of the stores, because these go a long way. So always keep these. You can talk to your neighbors, guys. It is very important to be good neighbors, and you never know what someone may have that they are using that they can recycle and keep for you so that you can use it as well. I know we just had Super Bowl, so I don't know if you guys have already thrown these away or still have some in your pantry, but these red Solo cups go a long way as well with growing things. Last year we grew our tomatoes and all of our peppers in these cups alongside of the water bottles that we would cut in half. And those are just great options. So I don't want you guys to feel like, oh, well, I've seen people on YouTube or even, you know, on social media using those large seed trays, because those are costly. And it's more along the lines of someone that's growing like market gardening or, you know, in high tunnels and need to grow a lot in, you know, a smaller or more organized way with the seeds sales. So again, I just wanted to get on here and start some seeds with you guys so that you can see how simple that is. And yeah, that is all for right now. I will catch you in the next video, and in that video we will talk about these grow lights behind me. All right, see you later. Thank you, and as always, God bless.